Okay. The way this new system is set up, I can't tell who all's here.
What?
Paul is here, George is here, Marcia, Randy, Judy,
Okay.
Jenny, and Heidi.
We have one visitor then, right?
I think Judith is the only one.
Yes. Okay. So I don't think Judy needs introductions. So let's move to the
Ta-da!
Let's move to the June agenda. Adoption. So I need a motion.
I'll move. This is Randy. I'll move to adopt the agenda.
And this is Commissioner Adams. I will second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's move to the approval of the May minutes.
I make a motion. This is Commissioner Adams. Make a motion on May minutes.
I will
Okay.
second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, announcements. We have a discussion of July meeting. This has been something that's been hanging fire on us, trying to figure out if we want to move the July meeting or just cancel July.
This is
So
Commissioner.
what?
This is Commissioner Adams. I would, I was hoping we could cancel July's meeting and go on to August's meeting.
Commissioner Mayer also sent me an email and she wished, oh no, I'm sorry, Commissioner Moore wished to cancel. Is that still correct, Randy? Randy,
I said if we had a anything urgent come up between now and then, that maybe we could just schedule a quick huddle
Right.
meeting to deal with
okay,
urgent, but
thank you.
And Paul?
Yeah, my thinking would be in line with what Randy just stated. I'm just concerned about losing momentum on tracking the strategy and moving forward on there. We have some good strategy. We're getting staff in place, things like that. There might be, and maybe that's not ready to go, but I just don't want to lose some momentum. If we could have an abbreviated meeting to address a couple items if needed. If not, then that's fine as well. I'm always looking for the time off, but I just don't want to lose momentum in some important areas possibly that we, if we had an abbreviated meeting, could address.
I have
Okay, well,
a comment. The commission staff is still working through the month of July, so I think we'll be fine.
So you don't really have anything to present to us, on the beginning of July then?
Would
Is that-
we, oh, sorry, would we benefit from scheduling when you are more ready, our sequestered meeting where we could internally hear some thoughts or what general path you're going. Again, echoing Paul, so we don't lose momentum on those on the front line.
We could probably also just provide an email update to everybody.
Okay.
But we'll support whatever the commissioners would like to do for July.
Well, the proposal right now is that if there is a need, we can call a special meeting. But as it now stands, we don't want to lose the momentum, but we want to hold it open because we don't want a mandatory meeting for July, but only if it's necessary.
I agree with that.
Okay. Now, somebody want to make a formal motion?
I move that we suspend the meeting in July unless, well, at this time, unless it is determined by Jenny and Ruth that we need to address a particular issue or issues in an abbreviated meeting. Otherwise, suspend July's meeting.
Okay.
I second the motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now, do we have public testimony?
We do. You did have another announcement
Another announcement.
about Commissioner
Oh,
Mayor.
look, I was going to give it down here when we call on her
Oh,
name.
okay. Sounds
Yeah.
good. We do have testimony. Okay, public testimony for June 2024 OHCC meeting. Full disclosure, I am an SEIU Local 503 board member. I'm not speaking for the union. Questions in this testimony are not rhetorical and require an answer from the OHCC. Discover Vital Resources in Elevate's May/June 2024 edition. Page 6 presents an indispensable emergency supply list, followed by a basic emergency supply list on page 7. This initiative by OHCC deserves commendation as it equips individuals with life-saving information. Having traversed Southwest Oregon for a dozen years, delivering preparedness seminars monthly, I understand the paramount significance of such guidance. However, I can't help but notice a crucial oversight in this edition. Many readers of Elevate, particularly home care workers and the clients they serve, often find themselves navigating tight budgets. Recent statistics reveal a staggering truth. 78% of Americans are shackled by the paycheck to paycheck cycle, a harrowing 6% surge from the previous year. These figures echoed by Forbes Advisor underscore the financial strains faced by a significant portion of our populace. Considering this reality, it becomes apparent that showcasing a comprehensive emergency preparedness plan may inadvertently overlook the financial constraints of its audience. Instead of merely disseminating information, OHCC must take proactive steps to ensure accessibility. Thus, I implore OHCC to provide basic emergency kits directly to home care workers. This isn't a matter of negotiation. It's a fundamental necessity for safeguarding lives, both of the workers and the vulnerable individuals they serve. By including these kits, OHCC not only acknowledges the vital role of home care workers, but also fulfills its obligations to prioritize their safety and that of their clients. Failure to act on this could expose both parties to avoidable risks. The question remains, will OHCC take the necessary steps to issue basic emergency kits to home care workers? It's not just a matter of convenience, it's a matter of life and death. OHCC needs to respond to the above during the meeting. Time is of the essence. Now that the OHCC and DHS has been made aware of their shortcomings and failures in a public meeting, they cannot take the position they did not know. Testimony respectfully submitted by Avery T. Horton Jr., home care worker, citizen, voter, taxpayer, state of Oregon, as always acting in individual capacity. End of testimony. So my comment is, I think that is a great idea and worth looking into. So I've reached out to the Office of Resilience and Emergency Management, and we will be having a meeting to talk about what resources are available for these type of kits. So more to come as soon as we have this meeting and I have more of an idea of what resources are available. So I am thankful to Mr. Horton for bringing that to our attention.
Okay. And George?
yeah, Jenny, is this centered more of a state caregiver emergency equipment Or is this to both help the consumer and the caregiver when there is an emergency?
It sounds to me like both both the providers and the consumers would benefit from having emergency preparedness kits. So I think there are two issues. One, who will pay for a kit for the providers, and then how would we also make sure those are available to consumers? So we're starting the conversation. So we'll see what resources are available to do that.
And where in the budget would that come from?
Well, I don't know yet. That's why we're starting the conversation to see what kind of resources are out there for us to tap into.
Okay.
And I would want to make sure that this is considered part of a task list for providers. I have heard somewhere that maybe it was not.
Like part
So-
of the task list to
But
create
prepare-
the,
creating the kit with if I had a basic kit, it would be adding items to it that the consumer needs that are not that are personalized to them.
Mhm.
It's fine if you get a can opener in your basic kit, but each consumer may have medical items or
Mhm.
other essentials that would be different that needs to be packed and ready to go.
Yeah, that's a great comment. Commissioner Johnson, would you be willing to take that comment back to Aging and People with Disabilities to see, if that's something that could be covered under a task list?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Maybe it could just be could it just be written out succinctly for me, and I'd be happy to do so.
Jenny, this is Roberta. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
Roberta. Yeah, thank you.
Hi. Yes, and I apologize for not raising my hand. I'm listening to the meeting today on my phone, and this is the first time I've done that, so I couldn't find my hand up. The Elevate newsletter, and I'm hoping that I'll make sure that all the commissioners receive this in their email. I'm going to double check to make sure that we have all of their email addresses and they receive a copy of this that he's referring to. And I did cover this with the manager of that department, of the planning department. And before we posted this emergency supply list that is referred to in that letter that you just read. And it comes from the Ready, Set, Prepare, Plan, and Stay Informed, so that you can read it, so you'll know what the emergency supply list that he's referring to. It is from FEMA, and before we posted it, I did have it reviewed. This list is including things like prescription medication and glasses, infant formula and diapers, pet food, water supplies, cash and change, sleeping bags, fire extinguishers, things that are really practical. Matches for waterproof containers, paper and pencil, books, games, puzzles, and feminine supplies, personal hygienes. So it might be different than what you were imagining would be on a emergency supply list. That's the list that went into the Elevate newsletter, by the way. Just wanted to let you know that. Okay. And then, of course, there's another list. We included 2 different lists. So I'm going to make sure that I send you the link to this Elevate newsletter so you can see that. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that answer all the questions on this issue?
Ms. Chair, I was wondering, in emergency situation like that, could they be like, maybe give Jenny, like maybe, like backpacks full of emergency stuff? Would that be appropriate for state care providers and consumers? So all they gotta do is grab it whenever there's something in it.
I think that's definitely something that we can talk to the Office of Resilience and Emergency Management about what kind of resources are available and what we can tap into. So thank you for bringing up that suggestion.
And also, I just came from another meeting, and the meeting is a DMAP meeting, and it's a Disability Emergency Preparedness through MAC, the Medicaid Advisory Council. And it's a subcommittee of the Medicaid Advisory Council. And this sounds like it would really fit right in with what they're trying to work on now. So I'll make sure I keep you guys abreast when there's information, and I'll send it to Jenny and she can send it out to all of you.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, Judy, you're public. Do you have anything you want to say?
Well, yes, there is thank you, Madam Chair. There is a book already printed. It's called The Ready Book. And it is a very awesome book that has section by section, very big print, easy to read. The back of it says help needed. The inside has prescriptions, where my pets are, all of these different things. And it has little pockets where you can put in your Medicaid card or whatever you need with you, et cetera, and so on. And I know that Ruth and I had seen these some years ago. They're already printed up and made, but that doesn't mean that you have to invest in just, but following the guidelines of what they have made up, a notebook of some sort that would have all of these things in it wouldn't be that hard to put together for each one of your consumers. And I just think that it's something to look at. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Judy, that is called the Ready Book.
It is called The Ready Book.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I have one copy.
Oh, boy.
So
Okay.
if you want to see it, I'll give it to Ruth and you can do whatever you want with it. It's up for grabs.
Thank you.
Judy, was that part of a pilot project and the commission handed those out to local offices?
No, I don't think so. Ruth would probably know better than they were $10 a book when I bought it.
Oh,
Yeah, that,
And I think I've heard that they have things like this online that you can pull up. That's why I'm thinking it would be not that difficult to put something together like this.
yeah, the other book that Jenny's referring to is produced by the Douglas County commissioners, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
And that we did do a pilot, and Cheryl knows all about that. Cheryl Miller, she was here at the time, and we did the pilot, I believe, in Tillamook County, and those are still available today. You can order them. They run about $19.95. I did pass that over to Nikki Holmes. She's exploring that as a possibility already. So there is already some work happening regarding disaster planning, and that book is designed for consumers. And it's a really cool book because you can list it has everything you can imagine. It's very easy to use. You can put labels, your prescription, you name it. It's all in one place. Yeah, it's very similar to
It
the
wouldn't be
Ready
that
Book.
hard to put it together. I don't know why, they could cost as much as they did, but I'm thinking that it would not be that difficult to yeah, but anyway, thank you for asking.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the different reports. The Governor's Commission on Senior Services. Mary is not here, but she got to re-up on the Governor's Commission on Senior Services. So we're hoping that she will continue to be with us. So would you
Ruth, her email said that she's been appointed for a second 3-year term starting on May
Right.
1st of this year, and she'll remain the GCSS rep for OHCC.
Okay, I didn't know that had been finalized. Good. That's
Yeah,
good
she
news.
just sent that this morning, so.
Okay. Now, Oregon Disabilities Commission. We don't have a report for that today. Okay, the Oregon Association of Area Agencies on Aging. Robin?
Morning, everyone. Let's see, wanted to tell you a couple of things. Happy OPIM launch month. I think there were some moments that we were afraid that we were never gonna get here, but happy to say that we are actually actively working on getting the Oregon Project Independence Medicaid program up and running, and my agency specifically here at Oregon Cascades West, we're starting to talk about which first consumers we're going to try to get moved over. So I'm looking forward to sharing information about how that transition happens over the next few months. But just a lot of kudos to the APD and the AAA staff who've been working for years trying to get this project running, and the APD specifically, I think, had a pretty big tool to move, and so that I'm really impressed with the work they've done, and their training has been really great this last couple of months, and so I think it's going to be really great for Oregonians, and looking forward to hearing more about how that happens over the next year. The only other major thing that I'd like to share is that we did have a strategic planning session with Aging and People with Disability Leadership and AAA Leadership, Area Agency on Aging Leadership, this a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, I was not there, but I did get to see some pretty great notes, and it looks like they just went year by year and talking about what the priorities are going to be over the next 2 or 3 years, as far as what the area agencies on aging priority is, APD's priorities are, and then trying to be efficient and strategic and working together to meet those goals and objectives. And it's sort of laid out by legislative years. And so I think a lot of it's about policy and advocacy, but a lot of it is also about working together to try to make sure that the programs are as good as they can be. I think it might be great if we had Phil Warnock back one of these days to do a little sharing about the relationship with APD. In addition, the area agencies on aging, I told you last fall at our directors retreat, actually developed the first ever strategic plan for that organization. And there are quarterly goals and objectives that are starting to be worked on about increasing diversified funding for the area agencies on aging, doing some really great director training for new directors, and a whole bunch of other things. So I think all those topics would be really great if Phil could come and present one of these days. But happy to answer any questions, but that's all I have.
Okay, I do have a question for you. I notice in the area plans for the area agencies on aging that they're treating OPI separately and not using the OPIM. Can you explain that?
You know, I probably actually can't, Ruth. As I said, I've been on leave for a little while. I think it is probably because Oregon Project Independence, the normal program, of course, a general fund program. And so I think they just have to treat out what it's going to look like as far as reporting on how the programs are managed. I think that it probably, because the funding sources are so different, I think that's probably why they're going to keep them very separate in the area plans as far as strategic planning. But Deb McEwen, who is the person who's guiding the area plan conversations, might be a good person to talk for us to have also come and talk about area plan development. If everyone doesn't know, area plans are developed. There are a 4-year strategic plan that the area agencies on aging are required to do. Aging and People with Disabilities and the Community Services and Supports Unit at the state actually identify focus areas that are required that we have in our area plans. And then there are additional areas of focus that each individual agency can add. Oh, actually, I just remembered. And so for example, my agency has decided to focus on emergency planning this year, or for this 4-year session. And I think a lot of the area agencies are adding that to their agenda, and O4AD you might remember in the fall, actually started developing a tool for area agency on aging staff to use in emergency preparedness. We're off topic. Sorry, I'll come back to it. But so the area agencies on aging are also really focused on emergency planning and emergency preparedness. When thinking about our public comment or public testimony today, we might want to try to figure out how we loop all that together. But so let me get Deb to talk to us about why they decided to break those out separately, and maybe she can either come and talk to us here as a commission, or I can ask her that question and just provide some information back to you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, then we have aging and people with disabilities, APD.
Yes, hi, good morning again. Randy just stole my thunder. I was just going to also just highlight that OPIM is beginning to be rolled out in a select number of locations. And so, and Matt explained last meeting more about the OPIM. I would highlight JD Tilford on our staff and our units, hard work along with many others in making OPIM in helping to get this new program launched, and all the work he's done, again, with many others' help as well. So we should have more possibly next month if we meet, or the August meeting. I know that they're seeing a slow response so far, but anticipate there will be a larger response. And so we're excited about that. And otherwise, I don't have anything else except the excitement about the OPIM program.
Okay. Then community advisory councils and coordinated care organizations updates.
Okay, I'm gonna combine both those together, the CCO and the CAC. Here's what's going on. I had a meeting with the CEO of the Medicare company connected to Jackson Care Connect down here, which is a Medicaid. And we had a really nice discussion. And they're going to take my idea. And that idea is when a person has an injury and they go into a hospital and they become a para or a quad, they need what they call a guidance person to kind of help them from the very beginning of their injury in the hospital to realize what life is going to be for them from the very beginning. I know the word of it. Maybe you guys might know what the word is, but it's where the person is there and they're guiding them through the new phase of life because of their injury, because they're not knowing what their life is going to be. Anyhow, that's going to be implemented. And once that is going to be done down here in Southern Oregon to the CCO, then they're going to try to get other 14 to 15 other CCOs to do the same program. It's not called a sponsor program. It's a mentor program. That's what it is, a mentor program. So then people that are becoming, you know how they become paralyzed, a paraquad, and they don't know what their life's going to be. It's kind of like it's a guidance. And he took my idea and he thinks it's a really terrific idea on that. That way, but he wasn't sure if APD or Oregon Health and Human Service would want to go with that idea with the CCO. So they're going to be the first ones down there to start that down here. And like I said, once that gets up and going, they're going to try to get other CCOs to follow suit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I see Leslie is here. Are you ready, Leslie?
I am. It's good to see everyone. I know some of you and others are new faces to me. So I'm Leslie Sutton, and I'm the Executive Director of the Oregon Council on Developmental Disabilities. And we exist to ensure that people with developmental disabilities and their families can be leaders in changing policy. And we know that policies are only effective if they're created with people at the table, right? So our job is to really help train people so that they can be at those tables and also find those opportunities for them to really tell their story and do the amazing advocacy that we know they can do. So
Would it help you if we introduced ourselves to you?
sure, that would be great. Thanks, Ruth.
Okay. Well, I'm Ruth McEwen, and I've been chairing this for a few years now. And I also work with some other groups. Marcia, you
Hello.
want to go next?
All right. I'm Marcia Wenzel, and I'm Vice Chair of Oregon Home Care Commission, and I also participate in many other groups.
Okay. Paul?
Hi, good morning. I'm Paul Johnson. I work with APD, and so I'm the APD representative on the Home Care Commission. And I work in the Medicaid Services and Supports Unit under the leadership of Matt Raposa. And I'm the in-home policy analyst in that unit. And I guess I've been with the commission about 5 years now, I believe. Thank you.
Randy?
Hi, I'm Randy Moore. I'm with Oregon Cascades West Council of Governments. We're an area agency on aging that serves Lynn, Benton, and Lincoln counties. But I'm serving on the council as a representative of O4AD, which is the Oregon Association of Area Agencies on Aging.
Jenny?
Hi, Leslie. I'm Jenny Coakley. I'm the interim executive director of the commission.
Okay. And that is the commissioners that are here today.
You forgot me.
Oh, I thought you talked so much, I thought you'd already did it.
No. I'm Commissioner George Adams down here in Medford, Oregon for Jackson County. And I also are on a committee where me and Ruth are on the one system for all three services. And I also are on the DSAC, Disabled Senior Advisory, I think that's what it's called, committee, and close with the CMS team here in the state of Oregon.
Well, it's so good to meet all of you. Thank you so much for taking some time with me today. My task is to talk a little bit about what the council's up to. So I've given some thought to where the Home Care Commission kind of sits in the system, and I've picked a couple things to talk with you all about. Some are really specific to people with developmental disabilities. So like I mentioned, we have kind of two tasks at the council. One, develop new leaders, and two, change policies so that Oregon can be a place where people with developmental disabilities and their families and communities can live, learn, work, and play together. So we have those two charges. So one of the things we're doing this year is we're running a training class called Partners in Policy Making. It's for people with developmental disabilities or their family members, and they go through a several month-long class where they learn the values of the developmental disability system and community inclusion, community life, and self-determination. And then they also learn about systems. So what systems like education, Department of Human Services, Oregon Health Authority, do they receive benefits from? And we know that, it takes both kinds of knowledge, knowing how to advocate and also knowing the system you're advocating in to truly be successful. So we are running that class. It currently is out for an RFP. So it's on Oregon Bias right now. And then we hope to have that class done in the next 6 months or so to do that. I guess 9 months. Sorry, my math is off this morning. So that's one of the things that we're doing to really handle that building leadership charge that we have. As it relates to kind of the systems change things, we're hearing a few things. The council held a summit in October 2022, where we invited people with developmental disabilities, their families, advocates, case managers, and providers to spend several days with us and talk through priorities that matter to them. And a few things really rose up to the surface. One, people with developmental disabilities are not able to access mental health services that they deserve. And so we currently, we currently have a grant that's running that is going to be doing focus groups with people with developmental disabilities, providers, families, etc., to talk about what is their experience in accessing mental health support and what recommendations do they have around changing the systems so that the developmental disability system can do what it needs to do, and the mental health system can provide access to people with developmental disabilities to get the help that we know they need and deserve. So that's what that is doing, which is really exciting to see. That project just kicked off. So I don't have a lot of updates, except we're starting to get ready to run those focus groups. And we should really, the idea with that is to gather the data and then use that as a launch point to create those recommendations on what we need to do in that mental health system to make changes there. The project also will include making recommendations for DD services and behavior support, which is part of developmental disability services. So it'll kind of do those two things. And then the other really exciting thing that that project will do is develop a metric of access. So basically a way to measure if people with developmental disabilities are actually able to access mental health support. So that one is the first of its kind. And so we're really excited to see what happens there. But really trying to point to something to say, we need to be moving this dial and making systems change that makes access more possible. So that's something that we are working on. The other thing we're working on too is a housing project. It currently is out for RFP. It's on Oregon Buys, is my understanding, as of this week, and looking at some housing options and recommendations around what it would take to create some housing navigators in the developmental disability system. So that one is, again, just out for bid now. You can check it out on Oregon Buys. It's available there. But really trying to be responsive to the two things we hear so much from people is access to housing, access to mental health support. So we're trying to be responsive to really create those opportunities to change those systems. So those are the two big pieces. The other thing that the group when we gathered everybody together in the Vision Summit before, they talked a lot about access to assistive technology and how we can develop more demand now in present day from people with developmental disabilities to access technology. And the second piece is what kind of future systems changes need to happen to make it easier for people with developmental disabilities to get technology in their hands, so that can help increase self-determination and independence if that's what they need. So those are some exciting parts. The other thing that came out of the summit was really starting some conversations about what quality improvement looks like in DD services. And how are we tracking if DD services is really improving people's lives and doing what we hope it would be doing. So working with ODDS a little bit more closely on that. I know that with their leadership shifts right now, it's really trying to stay in touch with the new leadership and seeing which direction they want to go with quality improvement as well. So those were kind of the main things. I also want to always acknowledge that we hear time and again, people with developmental disabilities need providers. They need direct support professionals. They need personal support workers. that is what we hear, and we've heard it for decades now, right? Like in Oregon, that is such a huge need, and across the nation, it's a huge need as well. And that's really a place that the DD community has been coming together to talk about solutions around what we can do to really increase those two workforces of the personal support workers and the direct support professionals. If you don't have support to go out in your community, if you don't have support to stay in your job, if you don't have support to do what you need to do, then DD Services isn't meeting your needs, right? So we need to make sure we can find those providers for people and make sure that those providers are adequately compensated to stay in the job. So those are kind of the main things that we're seeing from people in the developmental disability system and what we're trying to accomplish. George, I see your hand is up.
Yeah. Developmental disabilities is mental disability, right?
So a developmental disability, there's two definitions, well, two ways into the system in Oregon. One is through intellectual disability that is based on IQ. And the other is through having a developmental disability, which occurs before the age of 22 and impacts several areas of what we call functional conditions. So there's an analysis and evaluations that go through for the eligibility for developmental disability services. But I would say nationally, Oregon is one of the more generous in developmental disability eligibility. And we're always so grateful for that Oregon's door is a little bit wider for people that we know need the support than in other states. So we're so grateful for that.
So my next question to you is, what happens if that person that has that doesn't want to do anything with their life? What matrix or what things do you do in your people to guide them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for that. So first of all, the council exists to change policies and develop new leaders. So we are not the developmental disability system. That is the Office of Developmental Disability Services that would handle that question more directly. But I would say that, people within the developmental disability system, they can work with a case manager and make a plan that fits their needs. And, those are all conversations when someone decides that maybe they want to take their life in a different direction. Those are conversations they can have with their care team for sure.
We've had difficulties getting representation on this commission from the DD population. Is there anything that you can do to help us to fill that slot?
Thank you so much, Ruth. I would say that we're having a hard time recruiting people with developmental disabilities and their family members to be on our council as well. And I've heard from other commissions at DHS that this is happening in lots of places. So I think and I've talked to other state councils in other states, and they're having problems too. I think it's a really difficult time to ask people to volunteer their time. And I know stipends are available. We definitely publish that as much as we can. I can continue to try to find a rep for you from the developmental disability world as well. And I would ask the same to you. If you know of anyone with a developmental disability who you think might want to join our council, please do send them my way. We are actively recruiting for people with developmental disabilities and also their immediate family members to join our council. So Ruth, thank you for the question. And I know that we've talked to several. There was recently a self-advocacy conference in Oregon, and we recently have met with quite a few self-advocates that didn't have the time to join our council. I'm curious, what is the time commitment for your commission?
Well, a lot of it depends on how involved you want to get. Some of us are more involved than others, but they have to be willing to come to these regular meetings, which are monthly.
Okay.
And then sometimes there's some subcommittee meetings in between, or getting involved if they're representing the disability or developmental disabilities commission or something, then they would have a voice and give a presentation each time as to what's happening in that world.
Okay, that's great to know. Thank you. I'll take it back to my team because like I said, I know that we've recently been talking to quite a few self-advocates, and there are some that you know, weren't able to join our council, but I can run it by them again if they'd be willing to join your commission. And who do I send them to if they are? Ruth, is it you that I send them to?
And send it to Jenny.
Jenny, okay.
Yeah.
Will do. I'm not making any promises, but it's so hard right now to find people.
Well, it's
I
been a
think.
long time since we've had the representation. So
Yeah.
we really are hoping that we can get something going.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Ruth. And thanks for the opportunity to come today and talk to you a little bit about what we're up to in response to what we're hearing from people with developmental disabilities and their families.
Well,
there
you're
any-
welcome to come back anytime
For sure.
and share with us.
Yes. That's great. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. If there's
Thank-
no other questions, I think I'll leave you to your meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks.
Okay, it looks like our next speaker is ready for us.
Hi,
you-
I'm here from
Okay,
Carroll
there you are.
Molly Malone. Costi is actually on point for half of this presentation, so hopefully he's able to join. I know we're about 10 minutes ahead, but I can get us started with some updates for you all. Sorry, was someone jumping in?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I did have a quick slide with just a visual for you all to look at. Let me see if I can get that up. Wait 1 second. There we go. So let me make that bigger. All right, so I'm just going to give a quick update on some of our key programs that we are running and have been running, and give you some updates on some numbers, benchmarks to our goals for the year. So of course, one of our primary roles in Carroll training is to administer the mandatory new worker training, which is about 14 hours of new worker training, a 6-hour in-person orientation, and then 8 hours of self-paced online learning. And so far this year, we have had 3,400 new providers begin that process of going through the new worker training, and 2,700 have completed so far, which is an 80% completion rate. And that is right on track where we want to be at the end of this year. We had been over the last couple of years seeing about a 70% completion rate overall of providers or potential providers who go through orientation. About 70% of those then go on to complete the rest of the training and eligible to be a provider. So our goal for this year is to get that completion rate to 80%. And so far, about halfway through the year, we're on track for that. So we're excited. We're also in the process of hiring some training navigators, which is one of our strategies to increase our completion rate for both new worker and continuing education. And once those folks are hired, we're hoping to have them hired by August. Their primary role will be to reaching out to folks who are in the process of their training, but maybe coming up on their final deadline to complete and haven't yet completed. We'll be doing outreach to them. So that group of 20% or so far that have started training but haven't finished. There will be outreach and identification of any barriers they're facing, and hopefully that team will help us continue to meet our benchmark goal of 80% completion, if not exceed it. Continuing education, as you all know, this program, the implementation of the mandatory continuing education has been delayed until March of 2026, but we are still busy trying to make sure that as many folks as possible are completing it now while they're not up against a tight deadline. We don't want to have a big cliff of folks who all of a sudden realize they have this this requirement and haven't yet started. So far we have about 3,500 providers that have completed that continuing education. That's a little over 10% of the population, the entire population. And of course, not everyone will be due in March 2026. It's spread out based on their provider number renewal date. So we're anticipating by the time we get to March 2026, we'll have, depending on the month, between 600 to 800 or so providers each month that will be due for their continuing education. And we're building strategies now to make sure that we're reaching out, starting with the folks who are due first and really trying to encourage them and work with them to make sure they're getting everything they need to complete their required training once it goes into effect. And then Carewell Kicks is, I think I shared about this last time I was here, but this is our new program we launched in February for providers who complete their training requirement, whether that's new worker or continuing education, to get a free pair of non-slip shoes. And so far we've had about 2,500 providers utilize that benefit and get their free shoes in the mail. And it's really exciting. Folks are posting about it on social media, a lot of excitement around this program. We've got a little under 10,000 providers who are currently eligible to receive free shoes. And so we've got about a 25% utilization rate in the first 3 months of the program. And we're just now starting kind of secondary communication follow-ups to folks who haven't yet ordered their shoes to let them know, hey, this is real. It's a real program. It's not a spam email. Make sure you order those. And I think, a couple of things I would just point out about this, aside from everyone loves a free pair of shoes, these are, like I said, slip resistant shoes. So they're a safety, they help folks be safer at work as they're providing care. And we heard from a lot of providers who have shared with us that this is their first really nice pair of shoes that they've been able to own. And it's pretty life-changing for someone if you haven't had a supportive pair of shoes and you're on your feet all day, to be able to have that. I think people are really feeling grateful for that program. So we're excited to be able to offer it and continue to hopefully see it grow. One other thing I wanted to mention on the continuing education, I forgot to look up these numbers for new worker, but for continuing education, of those 3,500 providers who have completed so far, about 10% of those have completed in their preferred language other than English. So far that's been seven languages that about 10% of those folks have completed in. And that's generally about the number we see of providers through the new worker training as well, opting into receiving their training in their preferred language other than English. And so we, we're proud of the work we're able to do to be able to offer training in language. And we have 7 languages in addition to English that we currently have staff available to give live training in, as well as the self-paced portions. And then we offer interpretive services for any language that folks are in need of getting their training taken in. So just wanted to share that as well. And I'm going to stop sharing so I can see folks have any questions. I still don't see Coasty. Any questions on what I just reviewed? Yeah, George.
Have you considered the buddy system? For a state caregiver to be picked up with another caregiver going in the opposite direction, or so to go to a consumer's house. And also that would probably help boost up going to classes, because they could feed off of each other as to what the class is about, kind of like a buddy system.
Yeah, that's not something that we've explored yet. I think it's an interesting idea. We have talked a little bit about the idea of a peer mentorship program where, similar to the staff we're hiring as navigators, we're hiring 3 navigators. So it's not a ton of people, but if we could expand that with providers who have been employed for some time doing this work and have more experience, to be able to help newer providers through that process and kind of be a sounding wall for them. That's something that we've talked about, but haven't yet taken any steps to implement. So I appreciate that idea, and definitely will continue to explore it with our team.
Well, there's 2 reasons why I suggested that. One, gas prices are going up, so that will save them in their budget. And second of all, crime is also going up, so that will protect both providers going to a consumer's house.
Thank you for that.
What other classes are you teaching besides what you're teaching now?
Well, Coasty is, I'm actually trying to message Coasty right now. I'm not sure where he's at, but he was going to review the current courses in development. And let me see if I can get him. I don't have the course list in front of me right now, George. I know we went over some of that last time we were here. And Coasty was going to update, or hopefully will update, on the courses in development, as well as the new process that David and Coasty are working on to engage the internal review committee. Oh, Coasty says he's trying to join, so I'm not sure what that means. Hopefully he'll be here in a minute. So as the new process that David and Coasty are working on to engage the internal review committee in the development process earlier on. So there's more input early on in the development of new, here comes Coasty, in the development of new courses. So I'll once he gets connected, let him talk more about that. Any other question? Oh, go ahead, George.
I have one more question. If for some reason a person with a disability that would like to join as a state caregiver, do you have someone there at Carewell that could help the person with the disability, teach them how to, with their disability and what they can do in the state caregiver business?
We don't currently have any courses aimed at that, if that's what you mean. We obviously want to make our trainings accessible, and we, have a variety of accessibility kind of strategies that we employ for various accessibility needs. But we currently don't have any courses aimed at that. Before I pass it to Coasty, are there any other questions for me on the program updates?
Would you leave us a copy of your slide?
Yes, I will send it to Heidi. Does that work,
Okay.
Heidi?
Yeah, Molly, if you send it to me, I can forward it to the commissioners.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
All right, Coasty, I'm passing it to you.
Okay, hello everyone. Let me just share my screen. Okay, can everyone see?
Mhm.
Okay. So I was just gonna share some updates that we have on the curriculum development side. First, just some new kind of process developments that we have with the OHCC through with the review committee itself. We're going to start doing, I believe we're kicking it off pretty soon in the next couple weeks, of actually going through outlines instead of going from storyboards, which is a PowerPoint that we have ready for our e-learnings. And going forward, we're actually going to do a lot more work around outline review, actually getting a lot more good like examples from real examples that happen all the time. And really just trying to hone in on what you all need us to make sure are inside our trainings and inside the development that we have for the learners. The other is that we have now a image library that is through our communications team that has actually been working with home care workers and their consumers and personal support workers and PCAs as well, and their consumers to actually have real photos of actual people that we're going to start to incorporate in a lot of our trainings to be able to show exactly who the individuals really are. And then just a brief update on our submission plan. I think you all might have known this. So our goal right now is to get to 28.5 hours that we have approved by the end of the year that is ready to go for our learners in the continuing education. These are kind of the courses that we have going off, and I know I'll share my slides as well because this is a very extensive list that I don't expect everyone to be able to read and be able to communicate about.
Kosi,
These
I'm
are the
going to
courses-
interrupt you for just a second.
Oh, yeah.
Are you meaning to show us the slide you're referring to? Because we just see the cover, like your main slide.
Oh, really? Is it showing now? Wait.
We
No.
see all the slides on the left, but like the main presentation is just your cover page.
Oh my gosh. No, it's supposed to be showing all the slides.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Thought I
so
checked
sorry.
you.
Here, I'm thinking I'm showing slides.
Oh,
What is going on?
Costi, this is Heidi. If you
Yeah.
could email me that PowerPoint, I could share it with the commissioners after this meeting, please.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Well, I guess I'll just go from stop sharing my screen since you can't really see anything and there's no point then to do that.
Can you put it into a presenter's view? Do you know how?
Yeah, I'm in a presenter's view. It's weird because it shows, for my view, it actually looks like I'm presenting this to everyone.
do you have two
But-
screens?
I have 3 screens.
Oh, I
Kosi,
wonder if
Kosi,
maybe
I
you're
think
not.
you- Oh yeah, I think you might be showing the wrong window when you shared potentially. Maybe if you stop sharing and share again, you can select the right one.
Yeah, which one are you seeing right now?
Mission plan. March through December.
Oh, it's that's weird. Okay. It picked the wrong screen. Are you seeing pictures? I think one of my screens is not the screen that I have it on is not showing. So I'll have to share this with you afterwards so you can actually look at the stuff. Right now we have about 20 of our 28 hours of courses that are going through the review committee in different phases or different parts of it. And so you'll be able to see the courses that I have there. The green ones are the ones, and I'll put this in the notes so that when the slides are shared with you, you can read the kind of coding that I have on it. The ones that are in green are all of the courses that are have been through the full approval. The ones in orange are going currently through review, and then the ones in blue are about to go into review pretty soon, or are being currently developed or through the different process. And then I actually have it marked also which ones are going to be going through the new process, so that we can kind of so you can kind of know that about which ones in particular are going to be through that newer kind of methodology that we'll have. So. Any questions or anything that I can talk to you about? I'm sure there might be some more once you actually get to see the slides.
This is Commissioner Adams. How many more classes have you attached on to what is already there?
Are you asking about like our current offerings that we have, or the like how many more have we added since the previous ones? So there will be, in the next couple months, we'll have another 12 classes that will be added to the current ones.
Are there any other questions for him? Well, I'm sure we'll have, if we see the slides, that we're going to wind up with having some questions later on.
What reading level are these courses currently being designed?
We are going for grade level 6 on the courses, and we run it through a software called Readable that helps us to be able to assess what types of words we need to change. It gives us suggestions on wording to make sure that we're reading at the right reading level.
Has anyone earlier though tried to determine what would be the best reading level? And would that be correlated with completion of the materials? In other words, have people given up on a course because the reading level was too high for them? I know I'm on the internal review committee, and there's a great variation in the reading level of courses. Some of them are really dense, and others are lighter. So I could see, looking at the denser ones, that people would be discouraged soon after they begin and just give up on it. There's one particularly that mentions different types of illnesses, like cerebral palsy, etc. That is a real thick binder, and the reading material is very dense. That I had to take in small pieces because you couldn't just look at it and move on. It had to be studied. And just a thought for you.
Thanks
Paul
for sharing
has
that.
Yeah, Paul
go ahead,
has
Paul.
a question for you too.
Yeah, first of all, I just wanted to thank Coach D and Molly for their work. It's just appreciate their thoughtful approach and how they're pursuing things as a member of the internal review committee. And I did have a couple of ideas that were not necessarily tied to your slide deck and information, but I just wondered if it would be possible. Maybe it isn't. I know it's easy to come up with ideas and then maybe they're not the best, or maybe they can't be implemented. But maybe it'd be great if some of the trainers could accompany a home care worker on a day, shadow them for a day, and especially those that are writing, this material. I would imagine through the Multnomah County offices that could be arranged. I don't know. I think it would be profitable. I haven't done that with a home care worker. I've been in a local office in the past, but for case managers. But I don't know. It just might help them as they write to maybe gain a different perspective, possibly than they would have otherwise, if that would apply. It wouldn't apply to everyone. Maybe they have a background in that. So it's just a thought I had. The other thing is a thought I had again. Maybe this is more internal review committee information. But it'd be interesting to survey, and maybe this has been done, and so my ignorance is showing if possible, that maybe to survey the home care workers and say, what, as you do your work, what area are you feeling that you need some support in or training that hasn't been made available or that should be strengthened, possibly in some of the curriculum for the continuing education. Again, I don't know. Maybe we wouldn't hear much that's new, or maybe you would. But it might just also show the home care working. So I think of home care workers for ABD, but the pay providers, how much we appreciate what they're doing and want their input, and maybe they would have something that would be new to us, that would be logical. Yeah, that's worth pursuing. So just a couple ideas came to mind. I thought I'd mention them while you were here. Both of you were here, and again, I thank you for your good work in trying to create helpful training for the providers.
Thanks for that, Paul. I did want to just say two things. I love the idea of a walk a day or something. So maybe I'll talk to Jenny more about how we can make that happen. And on the survey piece, that is in the works. We are working on a pretty large survey project that will cover a variety of CareWell topics this summer, as well as some focus groups, and training needs is definitely a part of that. So more to come, and we're happy to share some of those findings this fall when we have the results.
George?
Yeah, I want to suggest to Molly and Costin, I think it's his name. There needs to be not this this holding in one place of advanced class that the state caregivers have to do for special people like me. There needs to be more than just one class of just advanced for the raise. Like, there's been a lot of people down here in Medford that's been waiting for the advanced class. And some of them are wanting more than just one time down here in Medford. They feel that they're not given a chance to be doing these advanced classes, and yet they're told to be doing them online, and they're not having no internet access. Some of them are saying they can't even get on to do the advanced class.
George, are you talking about one of the certification courses through the Home Care Commission?
I don't know, but it's advanced class for a special person like me that has to be done, which I won't go into detail because we're in public record, that gets a raise after taking the advanced class.
Okay, so those courses would all be through the Oregon Home Care Commission. So that's something that you and Roberta can talk about.
Roberta.
Yeah, Roberta Lilly, our training manager.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I thought CareWell through that.
Nope, we do all the courses for the certifications for the higher wages.
Okay.
Okay, there's no more questions. Thank you. And we're looking forward to looking at your slides and seeing what we're missing on it.
Thank you, Ruth. Thanks for having us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, is Nancy ready? We're early, so.
That's
Oh,
fine. I'm here.
Okay.
So I figure if you have any questions regarding the reports, please feel free to send me an email or let Jenny know. Since we are getting close to the end of the current contracts, I thought I'd share with you where we are on the upcoming contract status. Would that be okay?
Yes.
Okay. So as of this week, all contracts have been awarded for all areas. We're going to get all our contractors back, starting with the July 1st. We have one contract currently in Jenny's inbox to sign and it then send off to be executed. Another contract is with the contractor to sign. 3 contracts. I'm working with OCP to make sure the verbiage is accurate because there's little bitty things that are just a little off. So I'm trying to make sure of that is done. One contract is at the DOJ. And this week I awarded the last 2 contracts. So that's where we're at. Like I said, every area is covered. PPL will be picking up the Coos and Douglas counties for APD, ODDS, and OHA. They will also be picking up Clatsop County for ODDS and OHA. Then regarding the linking consumers to providers portion of the contract, we've got a little shimmying going on. Northwest chose not to provide the APD consumer linking or linking consumer to providers program. So Creating Opportunities is going to take up 4 of their counties. Marion, Polk, Yamhill, and Tillamook, and PPL will be picking up Clatsop for the APD. I'm currently working with those 3 contractors to have some kind of flow to make sure that they work together well and get everything everything working together well. Brain just lost words. Apologies. So I know we've talked about what the Linking Consumers to Providers program is. It is helping consumers interview that the consultants will be able to actually do screening calls with the on the consumer's behalf. And these are the consumers that just need that extra little help to do this. They'll be sitting in with the consumers during the interview process and helping the consumers to really assess who would be the best fit for them. So that program will run for certain from July 1st until March 31st, 2025. They'll be responsible for some reporting. And if a consumer has hired a worker and has employed them successfully for 2 months, they will get a $100 bonus. So
Nancy, I just want to clarify. So through the end of March, we're using what's called ARPA funds, special federal funds, but the service will continue to be available after that. The funding stream just changes. And the bonus will stop after the end of March because that's tied to the ARPA funding.
Is there any other questions?
So the March that you're referring to is, are you referring to 2025?
Yeah, 2025. Did I not say that correctly?
I'm not sure. My mind was quite busy trying to pull up the all the letters and what they meant that I
Oh, I'm sorry.
read. I was having trouble following the lines of who picked up what
Okay,
there.
so, Public Partnerships LLC has picked up Coos and Douglas counties for all three of the programs, which is the Aging and People with Disabilities, the Oregon Developmental Disability Services, and then the OHA PCA, the Personal Care Attendant 20 services. Then, as I said, creating ops, and with this linking consumers to providers program, creating opportunities has picked up from Northwest Senior and Disability Services 4 of their counties to just do that service, not the Employer Resource Connection services, the linking consumers to providers. And those counties were Marion, Polk, Yamhill, and Tillamook. And PPL, or Public Partnerships, has also picked up Clatsop County for the Intellectual and Developmental Disability Services and the Personal Care Attendant 20 services. And they will also be doing the linking consumers to providers, aging and people with disability people. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
What were the reasons that they did not pick up?
That Northwest didn't.
Yeah.
They felt that they did not have the manpower to do so. And they would prefer not to commit to something that they may fail out. And I understand that.
Oh, okay. Is it something they might be looking at in the future?
This program is a temporary one right now.
Okay.
And we do not know if it will be continued beyond March 31st, 2025. The linking consumers to providers.
So Nancy, it will continue after March. The funding stream just changes.
Okay. See, even I'm getting confused nowadays right now. Sorry. Yes, George.
Could you move the PowerPoint up a little bit where it reads Hassel? Okay, right there.
Yes.
Can you tell me why Josephine County is higher than Jackson County?
They are getting more referrals for Josephine County.
So where do they go to do these referrals in Jackson?
The case managers send referrals to the contractor. So that's how that works. Case management sends referrals to the contractors, and then the contractors follow through.
So the contractor is Hassel.
Yes.
So actually, there's not enough advertising in Jackson County, it looks like.
They're going to work on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Nancy, I'm not seeing any work. I think I'm missing the slides. I'm just seeing your beautiful face. And maybe that's why I was so confused with all the letters. I don't see any of the text.
Any what?
All I see is, now I'm looking, I see your face. Are there any of your slides up?
Yeah, Heidi's got them up. I
don't
was just reviewing. Heidi should have sent all the reports to you already so that you could review them. I was just reporting on our contracting status because that was the real, that's what I'm being, what the big push is right now, to make sure all the contracts are signed and done by June 30th this year.
Oh, I thought I should be looking at something on the screen.
No, I was not sharing anything from my screen at all. She just has these reports up as she should have, but I varied off.
Okay, I need to, pardon me.
Okay, not a problem.
Okay.
Were there any other questions?
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Okay.
Thanks for your patience.
No worries.
Okay. Then on the agenda is David next?
David is next. Hello, everybody. Hope all are well. Oh, I see Paul's hand up though.
Sorry for just a quick interjection. You know, as we see expansion in the future for other programs that are going to affect us, I would love to see us, the ERC, really expand. Actually, I'm drawing a blank rather now, but I believe ERC is going to serve OPIM in-home consumers. I believe that's the case. Agency with Choice, of course, is coming down the road. So I just, I'm excited about ERC and what's going on. I'd love to see that expand significantly throughout the state to really help consumers, especially the new ones coming on in these other programs.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
thanks
David.
for that, Paul. That's great. I also am super excited. We really hope that it's going to be what really helps people with Karina and matching and all that fun stuff, right? It's super important. I'm going to try and come off camera. I've been having unstable internet because that's just my life. And, you know, the Ren Fair's this weekend, so that's what I have going on. And I love my costume. So, hey, everybody, just want to give some updates on the strategic plan. Let you all know where it's at right now. I'm still working with our communications team. Adrian, I think she's been in here before, to start getting a time together for us all coming together for a communications session. But we'll be doing that hopefully soon, within the next couple of weeks. I'm going to keep you posted though. Other than that, we're not letting that slow us down. Masara and I have been, gosh, I feel so busy from it. We have been out meeting with community-based organizations, giving them an overview of what the commission is and talking about the services that we provide, who all of you are, and what you do as you advocate for in-home care in Oregon. So we've had meetings with Lutheran services. We've had meetings with a non-government organization up in Portland called New Hope Grace, which does wonderful work with community health workers, helping people through lots of different life situations. They are one of those. Remember, in the strategic plan, we've got connecting with non-traditional groups. They're a little non-traditional with our other ways that we connect, but I definitely can see a lot of benefit coming from them. Even just their model was something. I walked out of that meeting. I wasn't in there in person, so I turned off my camera in meeting or after the meeting and was just blown away with how they're doing things. It's a perfect example of an organization that is embedded within the community and doing things the way the community needs them to be done, instead of telling the community how to do something. And so just seeing this and knowing that those organizations are out there, super inspirational. Love to have that and get that perspective and know it's possible, right? So we have that going on. Masara and I have more meetings lined up in the next couple of weeks. If any of you are interested in coming to those informational sessions with me and Masara, please let me know. And I can send you out a schedule of some upcoming meetings, and you can talk about your experience on the commission and your advocacy as well for it. So that'd be wonderful. You're all invited to that as well. Another really fun thing that's going on. I was in the training committee last month. So I guess that was last week, whatever. And Roberta's already thinking about getting that power hour launched, to where we can start inviting individuals to learn more about the commission. Also just helping them as getting more visibility out there for us. So that's coming up soon. Her and I are going to meet and start planning out that schedule for the rest of the year. So we can do training topics, we can do using CRU, PTC, all of that, so that we're being seen to help both consumers and providers in how to navigate through the programs. Other big one that I wanted to bring up that was on my brain and now it's slipped out somewhere, probably over that way. Yeah, with the big workforce, we had a workforce collaborative recently as well. A lot of you were there actually, and so we talked about giving updates on what is all coming out, the new programs that will be coming out. So we talked about Provider Navigator, the matching, not matching, Jenny likes to call it linking consumers and providers, but we all know it's matchmaker, matchmaker, give me a match. So we talked about that. We talked about the big media campaign that will be coming out for home care worker recruitment. The RFP closed and those proposals have been reviewed. So more news on that very soon and how that will be rolling out. That's going to be massive statewide, localized to the communities, and looking at how to communicate with rural people, how to communicate with individuals that may have difficulty accessing technology, all sorts of different avenues to get into people's minds and let them know that this is an option. So I want to pause there and, oh, the other thing, technology. That's what I wanted to talk about really quickly, especially with Coastie mentioning the use of Readable and how they use that for their training development. I'm keeping my ear out for this kind of stuff. If any of you think of anything, the big news is that ODHS is currently doing trials with ChatGPT and seeing what that looks like. So I'm advocating for that to Jenny, hi boss, and trying to really just say, how can we use this technology ourselves? Same thing with the customer relations unit. JJ and I have some meetings to start talking about what they might need. All right, I'm going to pause there and just open it up. ChatGPT, Heidi.
Well, it looks like you don't have any questions.
Oh, I have a question.
Nope.
Sorry,
Okay.
it took me. Have you heard from all the commissioners about what tasks or meetings or things that they would like to be involved in with the strategic plan?
Thank you for that, Jenny. That was another thing. I have heard from most of you, but if you haven't, I'll send you an email just to make initial one-on-one contact so that we can clarify together.
Okay, that sounds like the only question then. Thank you.
No, of course, my pleasure. Thank you, everyone. I was still being here with you.
Okay, we have a break, but let's see, we got 22 minutes. So I'd like it if we could come back and say 15 minutes, which would be a little bit before the agenda time. So I'll give you your 15 minutes and then we'll finish the agenda.
Just so you folks know, I will be leaving the recording on during the break because otherwise I end up with 2 separate Zoom meetings.
Heidi, what time are we supposed to be back?
George, at 5 after 12.
Okay,
Joseph, are you available to present a little early?
I sure am.
Try that again now. I put my headphone back on.
I noticed that. Haha. Yeah, I'm here. Ready.
Okay. As soon as I can get them rounded back up, then you're on.
Okay.
Okay, Jenny's back. Looks like the majority of us are back.
Hello.
Okay, Marcia's back. Okay, thank you, David.
Hello.
So, Joseph, you want to go ahead and get started then?
Sure. Well, thanks for the invite. It's been a while, as you can see on the report there. It says I was here last on August of last year, so that's been quite a while. All right. So the DSAC quarterly meetings, as y'all know, I hold those the fourth Tuesday of the month from 2 to 4. And okay, I'm showing last year's. So the October one from last year was canceled. In February, we had quality improvement results, trauma awareness, and trauma informed, and then a presentation on the legislative session, and also a presentation on the 1115 waiver and OPI-M updates. The next one is set for a couple of weeks from now, June 25th, but it has been canceled since I wrote this report. So that is no longer the next one. The next one is going to be October 22nd. For the DSAC status updates, districts 1/3, 2, 4, 5, and 8 are currently moving along just fine based
Joseph,
on what.
Joseph, are you sharing this, or is Heidi got it?
Heidi has that.
Okay, Heidi, can you enlarge the print, please? Thank you.
There you go. All right. So based on what I'm hearing from the staff supports, those districts are moving along just fine. Districts 6 and 10, the district managers are holding meetings with staff and partnering organizations to try to gain some recruitment momentum. There's not been much progress yet, but I keep trying to check in with them regularly to see what's going on. District 7 actually does now have a DSAC. They are new with only 3 or 4 members, I believe it was, but they have 3 or 4 more that they are trying to recruit. Districts 9, 11, and 12 was contacted by the APD Director of Branch Operations to nudge them and get moving. We got the pushback of the fact that they are waiting until they can hire admin support to help staff the council. District 13, 14 is on hold due to an overwhelming workload from all of the new APD program rollouts this year. District 15 is needing to rebuild from scratch while dealing with more staff turnovers. So I've been attending their meetings to help get them moving again. And then District 16 has picked up 2 more members with a possible 3 more coming aboard very soon. All right, Heidi, scroll up just a little. There we go. The EPD marketing style campaign in hopes of bringing information and awareness of the program has kind of stalled out again. However, there is a coalition called Disability Health and Employment Equity Coalition. They are gearing up again for the 2025 legislative session, and their intent is to remove the income and resource limits from the EPD program. OHA and Bud's team has not done anything as of late around the DME movement, so there was nothing there. All right, move up, Heidi. And then ODC, as y'all know, in partnership with Disability Rights and Northwest ADA Center, will be hosting the ADA celebration again this year via Zoom. The dates are there for you: July 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 26th from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Advertisements will be going out very soon, hopefully by the end of the week, with the registration link. And like I said, this was wrote a couple of weeks ago, so Home Care Commission will be represented by Jenny and Ruth in a panel, and I will read off the sessions that we're having for you. July 9th is going to be the history and success of the Olmstead case. July 16th is going to be spotlighting diverse talents in our deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing communities. July 23rd is going to be the history of the ADA, current wins and ongoing efforts. And July 30th, which is the one Jenny and Ruth will be involved in, is titled Boards and Commissions, Information, Awareness, and Impacts. So yeah, that's pretty much the report, and then my continued efforts in all of those groups I listed there for you. And I think I can remove Governor's Commission. I am not on that now. Adam is doing that solo, so I will remove that one on the next report. But yeah, I think that's it. Any questions?
Yeah, Joseph, this is George. Explain more thoroughly about the asset removal.
So with the EPD program, the way it is currently now, a person with a disability on Medicaid can go to work and make up to, I believe it's $5,500. That has increased lately, so I may be wrong on that. Gross taxes, pre-tax, all that stuff, they can make $5,500 or more, whatever that new rate is, per month, and still receive their Medicaid as part of what is called like a buy-in or a cost share program through the Employee People with Disabilities. And there's also the resource limit or assets, which is the same that all Medicaid programs follow, the income and the resource limits. And so this coalition is stating that if a person with a disability has chosen to go to work and join this program to protect their Medicaid, why should people with disabilities be held to the income and the resource limitations? Why are they not able to go to work and make as much money as their able-bodied peers and have all the opportunity for resources and assets as their able-bodied peers without it counting against them? And so this coalition is hoping to remove that altogether. If they are successful, the program would become where you could do exactly that: go to work, make as much money as you want, and you would still have your Medicaid coverage.
What about that $2,000 asset limit?
Yeah, that's what they are meaning as well to remove. They want to remove that and the income limit.
And where's this coming from? The legislator?
No, it's a coalition called Disability Health and Employment Equity Coalition. This will be their third attempt. The first time was done by a single advocate and the senator that they partnered with, and it came with a very, very unfavorable fiscal impact, and so it was denied pretty quickly. The second time they done it was during the 23 session, and they had the coalition working with them at that point, and it made it all the way to Joint Ways and Means. It had a very, very favorable fiscal impact this time, and looked like they were going to be successful. And then we had the walkout. And so, as you know, all bills pretty much was dropped at the moment the walkout occurred. So they are trying to push again in 25.
I thought, a state employee told me that the $2,000 asset limit that a person on Medicaid and getting services was regulated by the Washington DC Congress.
I am not aware of any of that. Nobody's shared that info with me, so I would not be able to confirm.
Okay, that's where I was, that's where I'm confused.
There is a movement I'm aware of at the federal level that is trying to do away with the estate recovery part. Maybe that's what you were thinking of?
I know they were trying to do a single, that you, once it got passed, then a single person could have 10 grand and still be in services. And then the married couple, I think if it went to 20 or 30,000 an asset, you still could have services.
Yeah, I've not heard of that one, so I am not going to confirm if that is correct or not. I don't know anything on that one.
Would you please let us commissioners know if that one you just said goes through?
The one that the coalition is working on, or the federal one?
The coalition.
Okay. Yeah, I will actually email Jenny and Heidi the website and the email for the coalition, and that way you can contact them and either, you know, participate in their meetings, or you can just ask to be on their listserv. That way you get updates of what they're doing, things like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Joseph, could you let us know
Yeah.
if the federal go through also?
If I can find the one that George is speaking of, I definitely will. I have not heard of that one, so I'll have to research it to find it.
Okay. Well, any news from anybody would make me happy. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Joseph?
One more. On the ABE accounts, has that grown beyond the age of 24 on the ABE accounts?
I will have to look. Someone just sent me some information about that recently, and so I will look to see what age was listed. I do know they've been working on that, and they want to even get it lower than whatever the current age is. They want to try to get it as low as possible. So I will look, and I'll include that in my email with the coalition.
Because what I got, what I was told was they've already approved the one from 24 on down, and then the age of 65, I think, on up. And then there was concern about in between.
I think what they're trying to do is get it to include, you know, definitely above 24 all the way up. And then what they're trying to do is move that age limit of 24 down even lower. I think that's what I heard last. But like I said, I will look into that and see what that information was that I received most recently, and I'll share that in my email.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. No more questions for Joseph? Okay, then we will go ahead and Jenny, you're on.
Right. Okay, so this is my presentation for June. It's going back the last several months. So these are all the different presentations and meetings, and David alluded to some of these, so I wanted to make sure to add them here. So we did speak with the APD Area Agency on Aging Program Manager, District Manager meetings, just to provide them updates with what the Oregon Home Care Commission is up to. And we were able to do that 3 times since our last report in March, April, and May. I also did a presentation with the Governor's Advocacy Office, which I thought it went really well. I used the PowerPoint that we developed that you have approved and is on our website. And I think it was really enlightening for them to know what it is we do and what we don't do, you know, what's outside our purview too. So I think that went really well. David was talking about the Building Bridges to Employment. He and Ms. Sara presented in March and May. And then Ms. Sara and David presented to Washington County APD office in March about workforce development and the Employer Resource Connection Program. I did a PTC sponsor video for their readiness coordinators, just letting them know how excited we are for the upcoming changes to provider time capture, how important that is to consumers, how important it is to providers to make sure people are paid on time. I was very enthusiastic. We had the APD line leadership meeting in March, and David presented in March, and then David presented for me in May. I was invited to participate on a panel for the RAIN ERG panel about women in leadership. So I was very honored to do that and represent the commission for that. ERG is Employee Resource Group, and RAIN is working with individuals who are refugees and immigrants. We had an interview with the Advancing States for their workforce development program, where we would receive intensive technical assistance for workforce development. So our team between APD, DD, Oregon Health Authority, we all met and participated in an interview. And that was in March. And then we had another interview with the Direct Care Workforce Strategy Center state TA interview in April. I was participating on the ODHS strategic planning meeting. And so DHS has submitted their strategic plan. David and Ms. Sara presented at the Lutheran Community Services in April. They also presented again at the Tigard office, Aging and People with Disabilities office in April. So they've been very busy. I had the great privilege of being on the interview panel for the long-term services and supports administrator position. Those were 2 days worth of interviews, and hopefully we'll find out soon who was selected. Ms. Sara presented at the Ukrainian Response Monthly Community Meeting in May, and she talked about OHCC and workforce collaboration. And then Ms. Sara and David attended the Greater New Hope Charities office in May. And then we had a direct care workforce peer-to-peer learning collaborative meeting in May. So we weren't selected for the intensive technical assistance, but we were asked to join the first cohort of the peer-to-peer learning collaborative, where we're sharing best practices with other states and learning from them. And we will receive technical assistance, you know, instead of 200 plus hours, it's between 50 and 70 hours. And I'll talk about that in a second. David and Ms. Sara presented at something else. Washington County Workforce Collaborative. That's okay.
I got a little ahead of myself.
No worries. So you can see that Ms. Sara and David have really focused on community outreach and spreading the word about workforce development and our workforce collaborative in the commission. So I'd like to really thank them for their efforts for that. So different projects. So talking about the peer-to-peer learning collaborative. So we were selected as one of 14 states to participate in this first peer-to-peer collaborative cohort through the Direct Care Workforce Strategy Center. And the focus will be on sharing best practices, innovative strategies, and proven models to grow the workforce. will receive 70 hours of individualized technical assistance from the Direct Care Workforce Strategy Center. We're not sure which organization will be providing that, but we're hoping that it's an organization called PHI, and they really focus on workforce development and data. It's a really great organization. Our focus will be on workforce recruitment and retention. At the end of the program, each participating state will accomplish one policy or program related milestone. And one of the things we're wanting to focus on is what kind of wraparound services and benefits can we provide to people joining this workforce. So we know that there are socioeconomic impacts to joining the workforce, not just wages, but can they afford housing in the area they want to serve people? Do they have reliable transportation? Do they have access to childcare? Just different things like that. So we really want to, do some research into that area. The cohort begins this month and it will run through, oh, that's interesting. December 31st, 2024 is what that's supposed to be. I'll fix that. And then I added a link to the National Council on Aging announcement, announcing what the project is and that Oregon was selected. Okay, another upcoming project is called the Provider Navigator Program. And this is a new program to help applicants and newly enrolled home care workers, personal support workers, and personal care attendants navigate our system. So we're in the request for application process. We're still developing that and refining it. And my hope is that request for application will be out within the next few weeks. The purpose of the program is to help provider applicants and newly enrolled providers successfully join and remain in the workforce by providing focused assistance. This is an ARPA-funded project that runs through the end of March of 2025, and the goal is to find permanent funding for the program. So we want to be able to show that this program makes a very positive difference for providers, that we're seeing a positive impact to recruitment and retention. So individuals will receive up to 20 hours of Provider Navigator services, and some of those services include helping them complete enrollment paperwork. So not completing it for them, but like helping to answer questions, make sure that they're completing it and they're turning it in on time. How to use Orchards to complete their background check, or at least reminding them, hey, don't wait around. You need to do your background check as soon as possible so it doesn't delay your entry, your approval process. And then if you don't mind scrolling down, Heidi. Registering for new worker orientation and training. So make sure they get directed to the right place. How to effectively communicate with the local office during the enrollment process. The next steps they need to take once they get their provider number. We want the contractor to monitor the applicant's progress through the enrollment process, and then intervene if they need additional help. Provide direction to ensure applicants complete the process. How to register for and effectively using Carina to find work. How to highlight their skills, abilities, and interests on Carina. Resume building, effective interviewing skills, verbal and written communication skills, and professionalism. We want to make sure the Provider Navigator talks about the benefits of professional development and training through CareWell and through the Commission. How to effectively network with other in-home providers. How to use the appropriate electronic visit verification payment system. When to contact the local office or the Commission for help or to report issues. How to use and find available resources as a provider, planning and time management skills, how to read and understand a task list or service agreement, how to track their credential end dates and complete all required tasks for renewal timely, and computer literacy. Paul, did you have a question?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't mean to interrupt you because it was good information. Just maybe as you go along, you could address. So this is really exciting. It's part of the ERC that it says there on the screen, a new program within ERC.
The linking consumers is, the Provider Navigator isn't.
Okay, so the Provider Navigator isn't. So it's more of the Home Care Commission and SEIU? How is the Provider Navigator related to SEIU, or is it just the Home Care Commission? And then, so the funding, will there be more staff needed for this role?
So it's one of those ARPA funded projects. So we have special funds through the federal government to use for this program through the end of March 2025. So it's a joint project between the Commission, Aging and People with Disabilities, Oregon Health Authority, and Developmental Disability Services. And so we are going to issue a request for application. So we'll be using contractors to provide these services. So similar to how Employer Resource Connection works, where we contract with consultants, it will be similar for provider navigators. And then we will monitor that contract, the commission will, and process the invoicing and kind of look at like the outcome of how successful the program was, and then trying to see if we can get ongoing funding for it.
Okay, so in a sense, this is kind of like a mirror of the ERC program, but it's for the provider.
Yeah.
Or, okay, so there's gonna be maybe some we're gonna need case manager support to some degree, just so that they're, as they work with new home care workers possibly.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be some other elements of this that'll need to be developed over time. But basically, it's kind of a mirror to the ERC for the provider, which I like. I like the idea. And then some coordination with the ERC, because they'll be receiving some of these individuals with the consumers that they work with. So there may need to be coordination there to some degree. I don't know.
Yeah. And we're still working out the specifics of the program. You know, we're having some work groups being led by the commission, specifically Ms. Sara. And so people will be able to make self-referrals. We'll be able to send provider or applicant names directly to the contractor, or local offices can make direct referrals to the contractor. You know, whatever we need to do to be able to get providers the help that they need to get through the process, because it can be confusing and overwhelming, and sometimes people need just a little more help with doing that.
And then would there be any PTC training here?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if they need that help with using the PTC, yes, or Express, you know, if they need some troubleshooting or just like where to point them for resources. You know, our hope is that we'll see an increase in EVV compliance with providing these services. Our goal is to see an increase in completion of required training, getting people through their training more quickly, people getting, you know, submitting their background checks timely so that they can get their approval quicker. And we just want to be able to, for providers and applicants to really develop some of those skills on how to sell themselves, how to use the computer, which is like necessary for electronic visit verification and training. We're just really providing more intensive help for providers.
Thank you so much. That's excellent. I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure thing.
And perhaps for the flip side of that, for support for consumers, the case management budget for the next legislative session should request increases. If we planted that notion, they might get decreased to cover that, because I think at that point, the revision in ORPTC should free up some time for case management, and maybe they could accept the contract to help consumers find their ideal match, and then we'd have help for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. So I wanted to provide a little bit more information about the Linking Consumers to Provider program that Nancy mentioned. So this is a new program within the Employer Resource Connection program. You can kind of think of it as a sub program within Employer Resource Connection. And the purpose is to provide enhanced supports to consumer employers with using Carina and hiring a provider. So this program will let the consultants locate and screen qualified providers using the Carina registry based on the specific needs of consumers and based on the specific needs of the consumer and consumer choice. So this is a resource for consumers who require help beyond training. So we know that some individuals have a lot of difficulty using Carina or the whole the whole process of finding a provider and doing all the screenings and, figuring out who to interview, they need more hands-on help than that, more than just like providing some guidance and training and helpful hints. So this is really designed for those people that really need more help finding a provider. So consumer employers can receive 10 hours of help from a consultant per hiring event. And when we say hiring event, it's whatever actions are required each time they need to hire someone. So say they're a consumer is hiring their first home care worker, they can receive up to 10 hours of help through the Linking Consumers and Providers program to have that consultant access Carina, screen all the people, kind of have conversations to see, kind of narrow down the list of who might be the best fit for that person. So every time they need to, a consumer has to hire someone, they could receive help through this program. So Nancy had mentioned some areas will be doing just the regular employer resource connection program, but won't be doing the linking consumers with providers portion, but we do have coverage statewide to provide that linking consumers and providers program. And then just an update about the workforce marketing campaign. And David is on in case you have questions about that. But the requests for proposals are currently being scored and they will soon select a contractor. And the marketing firm will develop a campaign strategy and a plan for recruiting and retaining providers. And this includes, but is not limited to, conducting research, creating messages, and advertising. So it's pretty exciting that we have some dedicated money to use towards a professional marketing campaign. And so what we're hoping is that we'll see an increase of people applying for service to join the workforce, and then couple that with the Provider Navigator program. We're really hoping to see that it really helps people come into our workforce and stay in the workforce. And then some staff shout outs for the customer relations unit. I'd like to congratulate our customer relations unit for being completely caught up with researching payment complaints and determining late or partial payment penalty fees. And this is truly an amazing accomplishment, and it makes a difference for providers because we're following up with them every day to make sure that they, if they're saying they're not getting paid, that we can reach out to the local office. We try to get that connection made, and then we try to figure out what happened, try to resolve that issue, and then if they qualify for late or partial penalty fees, that they are able to get that. So I can't understate how much work this has been for the customer relations unit. This team is led by JJ. So I'd like to thank JJ, Miguel Cordova, Abdirazak Ahmed, who welcome back to him. He was on rotation for the last year. Pluto Sagan, Kimberly Hall, and Tracy Holm, who are our temp employees. And a special thank you to Kara Workington with the Provider Relations Unit for helping the unit process income verifications. And that's the end of my report.
Hi, Jenny. At the very beginning of the report, if you go back, oh, maybe it's in the next one. That one right there. How quickly are you seeing this coming together? And what are you expecting it to do? A week to have this all done?
I'm not sure what you're referring to, George. Are you talking about the peer-to-peer learning collaboratives?
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, that is that program runs from June until the end of December. So it's like monthly meetings, and then we'll have some work in between those meetings to work on different what we want to work on, like what our milestone is, and then working with that contractor to help us with the technical support. So it's going to be for what, 6 months?
Okay. And how long on the Provider Navigator program? How quickly do you think that's coming together?
Well, we're working on the request for application now. I'm hoping to have that finalized within the next week or two, and then we'll issue that out and people will be able to complete that to participate as a contractor for that program. So that's going to take a little while. It's probably going to take another, I'd say probably in a month or so, we should have a contractor in place, and then we'll provide some training and resources to those contractors so that they could be a good support for applicants and new providers. And again, this is an ARPA-funded project that runs through the end of March 2025. And if we can show this is successful and makes a difference, we're going to try to find permanent funding for the program.
And do you need us commissioners to make a motion on some of this or
no? Nope.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Jenny, thank you for a very thorough report.
You're very welcome.
It's really good to see what is going on and what the staff is doing. And I appreciate that you took time to call out the names of the staff and showing the good work they're doing.
Thank you, Ruth.
Paul?
So I just was wondering to myself, or I don't know, are we gonna meet in July then, or is that just a determination? We'll receive an email for the July meeting?
So my understanding is it's canceled unless something pops up that's kind of emergent and we need to take action on.
Right.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you guys for hanging in there with us and for making this work today, because I know there's been some uncertainties in different directions. And so I really appreciate that you've hung in there and stayed with it all day. And thank you.
Thank you, everyone. George, do you want to use this space to talk? We'll shut off the recording.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hold on, the recording's not shut off yet.
Is this just for you, Jenny, and